Hello, potato people from around the world, and welcome to this next World Potato Congress webinar. World Potato Congress that will take place in 2021 in Dublin, Ireland. Okay, I'm Kris Michiels. I'm a marketing advisor at VLAM. And I'm presenting from my home country, Belgium, which is a small country in Europe. And I'm going to talk to you about the way we organize generic potato promotions in Flanders in Belgium. And I hope this presentation will inspire countries in their execution of generic potato promotion, or countries to set up generic potato promotion themselves. But maybe first, why doing generic promotion? Well, because in contrast to brand promotion, where companies mainly want to shift demand within a product category, generic promotion wants to stimulate the demand and ameliorate the image of a product category as a whole. So not promoting brand X or brand Y, but promoting the potato category as a whole. And this is necessary, not only because potato consumption is going down, which I will come back later to, but also because the potato sector in Belgium, and certainly in a lot of other countries around the world, exists of a lot of small companies, small growers, packers, processing, wholesalers of potato that are individually too small and have too little time or money or profit to do product category promotion as a whole on their shelves. So by joining all the forces of those small companies, you get a bigger budget and you get more possibilities to do promotion that has impact. So that's why it's stated here on the slide that it's together investing in the future of the whole category. So potatoes in this example. The Flemish government and the Flemish agriculture sector, they saw the importance of this generic promotion for agricultural products, and they founded FLAM, Flanders Agricultural Marketing Board. And our mission is to promote products and services of the Flemish agriculture, horticulture and fishing industry, and this in Belgium as well as abroad. So we're not working only for potatoes, and that's why you also see a picture here of tomatoes behind me. So we're not working only for potatoes, but also for fruit, for vegetables, for meat, for fish, etc. Which is an extra asset because working for those different agriculture sectors delivers some economies of scale. There is shared knowledge, and sometimes you can use synergies between the products. Our resources, they come from more than half from the agricultural sector, mainly by obligated contributions, which means that if the majority of a certain sector decides to promote their product through VLAM, then all the players within the sector have to pay a contribution, which is enforceable by a decree of the Flemish government. So the potato sector in Flanders decided that generic promotion for potato is needed. So every potato grower and every potato pre-packer and wholesaler in Flanders have to pay a contribution to VLAM, contributions which depend on the cultivation area of potatoes or on the amount of potatoes traded. Interesting to know is that all the money that comes from the obligated contributions of the agriculture sector is almost exclusively used for promotion of that product category. So we're not going to use that money for general operating costs or for the promotion of other products or categories. The money collected from the potato sector goes to promotion of the potatoes. Then there is the subsidy of the Flemish government, which is about 20% of our total budget. And this amount is mainly used for those operating costs, like the rent of the buildings and the wages of the staff, and for some overall cross-sectoral promotion or market research. Besides that, there is also the European Union co-financing. The European Union has a budget for promotion of farm products from the European Union. And organizations, European organizations can propose a promotion program for co-financing from the European Union. And the European Union investigates this and gives, hopefully, their approval. And then the budget is multiplied by a factor of 4. So it's an important resource there. And for potatoes, we did a proposal this year together with France and Ireland. And our program was approved. So from next year and the next 2-3 years, we're going to work on that promotion program together with France and Ireland with a much higher budget than we used to work last years. So as I said, VLAM is a partnership between the Flemish government and the Flemish agriculture industry. Flemish government, which provides a decree to make the obligated contributions. And they give a subsidy for the overall operational costs and the overall promotion. And in return, they annually have to approve our promotion program, and they are represented in our board of directors. On the other hand, you have the agriculture industry, which finance the marketing and promotion activities of their own sector, as I said, by means of those obligated contributions. And they are represented within VLAM by means of their professional organizations. And they are a member of the General Assembly and the Board of Directors of VLAM. So they have an important voice within VLAM and within everything we do. And they bring in their own knowledge, experience, know-how and relations. And together with the 75 staff members with their own know-how, experience and relations, you get a performing company with a unique combination of resources and knowledge from Flemish government, Flemish agriculture industry, and the staff members. And this graph shows how we work for a potato or for all our promotion campaigns. So we always start with the knowledge of the market. We invest a lot of time and money in research. So we know what the attitudes of the consumers are about the product. We look at trade figures. We make a SWOT analysis. So we have a true knowledge of the market. And from that research, we make up a strategy in which we define the objectives and we define the target groups. And from there on, we make a communication plan with the messages, action plan, media mix, and so on. Then there is the launch of the campaign, and afterwards we always evaluate the campaign, which gives us, again, some more research and knowledge. And so the circle goes on and on between research, strategy, campaign, evaluation, and so on. Now I would like to tell you more about what we specifically do for potatoes. Well, for potatoes, we work on 6 different segments. We do promotion of fresh potatoes in Flanders and seed potatoes in Flanders. We do promotion of fresh potatoes abroad and seed potatoes abroad. We do promotion of Belgian fries in Flanders and Belgian fries abroad. And for this presentation, I will focus on the fresh potatoes in Flanders. And as I said, we always start with market knowledge, with research. So I'm also going to start that here in this presentation. And for potatoes, it's important to know that in Belgium, potatoes are not really seen as a true vegetable, but more as a competitor, as a competition with pasta, with rice, and with that kinds of products. So if we look on this graph, you can see the eating frequency of potatoes against those competitors. And you can see there that the non-fried potatoes is for the most used product within these categories. If we extrapolate it to the average times per week, you can see that non-fried potatoes are eaten on average 3 times a week. And pasta is the next pursuer with 1.1 times a week. So potatoes are still well consumed within the Flemish kitchen. And why do Flemish people eat a lot of potatoes? Well, because we like the taste of it. It's delicious. But they're also very versatile. You can eat them cooked, baked, mashed, steamed, etc. And you can also combine them with a lot of ingredients. So you can eat potatoes a few times a week without having the feeling that you're always eating the same. which is important definitely for younger people. We also know that potatoes are nutritious, they are easy to prepare, they're not expensive, and it is a natural product. And it's also a customer routine because all the consumers nowadays are grown up with eating potatoes almost every day when they were a child. So we know we have enough inspiration for eating potatoes a lot of times. So if you don't know what to eat, then potatoes is an easy answer. But the consumption is declining. On this graph, you can see the in-home consumption of fresh potatoes in Flanders. And you can see that they are going down from 30 kilograms per capita to 22 kilograms per capita. Of course, there is also some out-of-home consumption, which is going up, but not in that, with that high that it compensates the loss of the in-home consumption. This overall consumption of potatoes is going down. And when we look at social demos, there is especially a difference between the ages. You can see here that the people over 54 years old, they're still eating 3.6 times a week potatoes, whereas the 80 to 34-year-old people only eat them 2.6 times a week. So younger people tend to eat much less potatoes than the older generation does. And here you can see the most important reasons for that, because there are more alternatives. Years ago, there was only potatoes and some pasta, some rice, but now you also have quinoa, you have wraps, you have couscous, bulgur, much more alternatives on the market, and people like to vary, so they also like to vary between potatoes and the alternatives. So it's a variation motive there. Some people also like the taste of those alternatives, and they say, okay, I very much like the taste of pasta, so that's why they're eating much more pasta than they eat potatoes. There is some convenience issues. Potatoes are seen as more labor and time consuming preparation, for instance, the peeling. And also the storage is a bit more difficult than it is with pasta and rice. You have some quality deterioration during storage at home, which is much more difficult than it is with the alternatives. Then people also have some questions about potatoes and health. There are about 15% of the Flemish people who think that potatoes are fattening, and there are some media figures claiming that we have to reduce our intake of carbs, and so that is not good for potatoes as well. So there are some issues about health and potatoes as well. And last but not least, especially younger people have other eating habits, and they have the idea that potatoes don't fit in these habits. They think potatoes are too old-fashioned, they are too common, and they lack inspiration of making modern potato dishes. They have a more old-fashioned idea of potatoes. So that are the main reasons why potato consumption is going down. There is also some sustainable issues. People like to spoil less and less, so they buy less potatoes and don't throw away that much as they did in the past. So from out of this market research and knowledge, we started up a strategy, and we there mainly like to focus on the younger generation, the future generation. So our target group is the 80 to 34-year-old Flemish people living on their own or with a partner. So not people of those ages that live at home, but those who are living apart. And we like to keep potatoes staying part of their routine eating habits in the future. So we like to keep them enthusiastic for potatoes so that we are in the future still eating them from time to time. And we like to do that as a communication objective by bypassing all the myths about potatoes and showing the target group that potatoes do fit and are much closer to their lifestyle than they actually think they are. The messaging, the main message we always communicate is about convenience, it's about modernity, it's about versatility, and it's about taste. So we like to inspire the target group. We like to give them desire for potatoes, and we like to demonstrate how they have to cook those modern potato dishes. So the main thing is about those key words written there. On the second hand, we also want to give a reassurance message. So we also like to point out that potatoes are nutritious, that it is a local and sustainable food, which is a natural product as well. So that's a reassurance message besides the inspiration, desire, and demonstration message we like to convey. And because we like to focus on that one, there is an important role for recipes, because by showing recipes, you immediately show your point. You can tell potatoes are modern, but it works better if you immediately show the target group, indeed, by means of recipes, that potatoes are modern and you can cook some modern and versatile and tasty dishes with them. So this is the old-fashioned image Flemish people have about potatoes: 3 components, meal with vegetables, meat, potatoes. And our strategy is that people don't think only about the left-hand side picture anymore, but also the right-hand side. So potatoes more within their lifestyle and more in their eating habits. That's the way, that's the strategy we like to follow there. Now I have some examples of campaigns we do. I'm not going to show them all because it takes too long, but you can find the YouTube link there, so you can watch them yourselves later on if you want to. The first one is called our PATAPAS campaign. It's based on the tapas trend, the trend that people like to eat small dishes and share them with friends and colleagues. And so we made some films about this. The noise isn't working, but so we don't understand it, so it's no problem. So you can see here quickly how the recipe of potato is rated. A pretty small tapas kind of recipe, with then the link to the website saying that there are 1,000 delicious dishes with potatoes on the website. Then we went on to the next campaign, and the former campaign was mainly focused on recipes. And the next campaign, the BOEMPATAT campaign, we get into the lives of the target group and literally show that potatoes are useful in their life. It's a more contested video one. You can understand it when I show it to you. So it's about people, students that live at the student city. The mom is always coming in at bad moments with dishes. So we're telling the students that if you want to avoid those moments, it's better to take dish yourself. And that's why we have a BOEMPATAT recipe, which is easy and very modern. And of course, again, the link to the website with some more recipes. As I said, the focus is on inspiration, but from time to time we have some reassurance videos. This is one reassurance video. You see a potato man telling the truth. Potatoes coming out of the ground to tell consumers potatoes. Here he is entering a cooking store. People are looking at cooking books. Now he's trying to read quinoa, but it's difficult to pronounce the quinoa. And now he's saying, yeah, why should people eat something they can't even pronounce? So just eat potatoes, easy to prepare and easy to pronounce. And the little sides help people can pronounce it easily. Then the next one, I'm not going to show this one because time is running up. This is about the superfood trend. People always like to think about superfoods, about food exported or imported from far away. But we're saying, okay, potatoes are from here and they are superfood as well. So enjoy them and you can make modern, delicious recipes with it. This one is also near to the target group. It's how to make an Insta gratin. So we're showing the people how to demonstrate how to make a gratin, and we linked it to Instagram. So we're also moving from pure from TV commercials to more social media. Now I'm showing some videos, but we're also doing native advertising, social media posts, events at all those kinds of things. And also this year we made a combination of the Imagine a World Without Potatoes campaign, the international campaign, and we interpreted it with our strategy. So we're showing some recipes from all over the world, showing that a world without potatoes, you can't imagine that, and that there is a lot of potato dishes around the world. So there are the different campaigns. You can click on the link later on, and then you can watch them yourselves. But after the campaign, as I said, we also do some evaluation, and we look at the recognition of the campaign. Here you can see the impact on the left-hand side of lower budgets. From 2010 to 2015, we had some European co-financing, so a budget which was 4 times higher, and you can see recognition was also higher in this period. On the right-hand side, you can see the appreciation of the different campaigns, also compared to a benchmark we use at Flam. We also look at the declared impact on opinion, asking people whether this campaign has a good impact on their opinion on the left-hand side and on the consumption on the right-hand side. Also compared with benchmarks, which is an extra asset of working for different product categories, so we can compare the potato campaigns with vegetable campaigns, etc. And of course, we also track the image of potatoes throughout the years, and we can check how image of potatoes is evolving. And you can see here that the image of potatoes is evolving in the right direction. Potatoes are more seen as modern and suited for indulging your guests than it was more than 10 years ago. So that's how we track all our campaigns, which gives us learnings. And here I have stated some learnings that I'd like to share with you. People like it when the campaign tells something new. So that's important that you have some new information in the campaign. This can be some facts, but also can be some new possibilities to cook potatoes in a modern way. And here it's important that you keep it credible because sometimes it's difficult for people to believe because they feel it comes from potato sector. So we say, okay, it's sponsored. So you have to look out that it's credible, your information you're bringing. As I said, there is the importance of recipes so that you can concretely do something with it to consumers. You can inspire them and give them desire. There you have to look out that the recipes are not too high level, so that the target group can easily use them themselves. Of course, it's about food, so campaigns have to have a lot of appetite appeal. They have to stand out, so people get notice them. The message of the campaign, of course, has to be clear. The campaign has to be modern, contemporary, but don't overstretch it. Potatoes is a natural, basic product. Don't make it too forced, hip, and not too modern, because then it becomes fake. So it has to stay close to its values. And of course, the campaign has to be relevant and identifiable enough with the target group. So that's the story I would like to bring to you. So there is the importance of the power of the collective, together investing in the future by bringing all the money together. Then decide on the organization structure. I showed you the way we do it in Flanders, but there are, of course, a lot of other ways to do that. The importance of the strategic way of working, the importance of good research, clear objectives, and a profound evaluation. And it's also important to think long-term. You have to give time. Image doesn't change from week to week. It takes time to adapt. So that's what I would like my story to you. Here you can find the sponsors of the World Potato Congress. And well, then I will go over to we can go over to the questions. So I will stop the presentation, and then you can have your questions in the chat or in the Q&A. Feel free. There is a first question. Should there be a global generic promotion campaign? Good question. And as I stated, there is one that exists as the Imagine a World Without Potatoes campaign, which is set up to go global, and countries can work on that. So we did it on our own way. So of course, it's difficult to have one campaign for all over the world because eating habits and culture is different between countries and the regions. So you have to adapt the global idea into local actions and to adapt that to that level. So you can, it's identifiable enough for the target group in your country. But it is of course good to have some global ideas that the different countries can work on, and that they can focus on and adapt it to their own situation. Then there is another question. What are some new ideas for the next campaigns? Who is the target? Well, our next campaign will be the campaign that is co-financed from the European Union, and we do that together with France and Ireland. The campaign has the same strategy as I stated here. We always like to think long term. So also in strategy is a long-term strategy. We focus on those 18 to 34-year-old people, and we like to convince them that people are more fitted into their lives than they actually think. So we like to debug the myths there. Our next campaign will be a very social campaign, very much on Instagram and on Facebook, with of course a lot of new recipes that really show people that potatoes are fitted into their eating habits. And we also introduce new facts about potatoes. Those target group thinks potatoes are fattening. So we also state that potatoes are nutritious, aren't fattening if you use them in the right ingredient, within the right recipes. So it's a campaign that gives some inspiration, but as well some reassurance there. And the slogan will be potatoes prepare to be surprised. So we're going to surprise the target group with a lot of new information, but with a much higher budget than last year. So hopefully we'll get much more impact than we had the last years. The last year were good campaigns, but the budget was a bit too low to have a large target group and impact. Are there some more questions? Yes, there is a next one. Do you use spokespeople for your campaigns? We have, if it's about the production fields, we have some and the wholesale issues. Then we work with persons from the sector, which can explain how the potato sector in Belgium and Flanders works, and they can give answers to that kinds of questions. But we also for the consumers, for B2C, we also work with cooks, with chefs. We have sponsoring of cooking programs in Flanders. Or the local superfood campaign was together with a famous Belgian cook as well, who can show that people that potatoes belong in the modern kitchen. When it's about health, etc., it's also important to have some credible persons to tell the story. That it's not potato people telling that potatoes are nutritious, but also some experts, some profs, some dietists, or people like that to encourage your story. So yes, it's useful to use spokespeople because it's more credible and more authentic to bring over the message. Some more questions? No more questions? There is one more. How often do you conduct market research and how current were your consumption figures? Well, for research, we have ongoing research, actually. We work together with a market research agency, GfK, which has a panel of households that during all year note what write down which products they buy. So we know the potato consumption we follow that every day, and we have some figures about them every half year. We get figures from the market research agency. So the consumption figures, I think I showed you the ones till 2018, but we also have already the figures of the first half of 2019. Besides that, we also have an online research community. So that's a group of consumers that are always ready for us to give them questions and tasks. So it's for qualitative research. So for instance, we ask them to make a recipe, or we ask them to go to the shop and look out for something about potatoes, give us feedback on how the potatoes are presented in the supermarket. So there's an ongoing research about that. And then also we have some quantitative research after the campaign. So we do a so-called post-test in which we ask people of whether they recognize the campaign, what they think of the campaign. So that we do once a year. So there's once a year a quantitative research. We can do all year long qualitative research if it's necessary, of course. And the consumption figures is also ongoing research. So as I said, research is for us a very important tool for our communication to make our strategy. I think it's the best way to make good campaigns, to base them on good research. Okay, thanks for that question. Some more questions? Not anymore. Okay, so then I would like to thank you for joining this webinar. I hope it was interesting and you learned something for it, or it inspires you in some way. And goodbye. See you later.